My name is Karen, and this video is a lesson about improving your hand-eye coordination and your fretboard knowledge on the guitar. So before we start the lesson itself, I thought it would make sense to explain what my inspiration was behind creating this video in the first place. So last year, I got some testing done to address some lifelong processing issues that I've had. And the testing showed that my visual motor processing skills were extremely low. This did not surprise me one bit. Throughout my life, I've had issues with depth perception, balance, things like that. So after I got this testing done, I started to do more research, and I discovered something called vision therapy. And it seemed like I might be a good fit for that, so I found a doctor that does vision therapy, and I'm in the middle of doing these therapy sessions right now. And basically, vision therapy is a set of exercises and ways to work your eye muscles and improve your eye tracking and things like that. And I went into it with an open mind, seeing what would happen. It's not some sort of magic quick fix, but it's certainly been an interesting process. And I think I'm about 6 or 7 weeks into it, and I've already started to notice some differences in how I process things. So this has been pretty exciting for me. And musically speaking, what has been amazing to me is some things that I have played for years have started to feel smoother and more fluid. So just to give you a little bit of background, I've been playing guitar and music in general for 37 years. I'm a multi-instrumentalist. I've been teaching for 30 years. I've taught thousands of people from all over the world. And so, you know, there are certain things that I just, no matter how much I practice them, they never seem to be within my grasp. So to find that some of these things that I had challenges with suddenly became easier, it's just an amazing feeling. And I also started to notice when I was teaching, I was noticing this more and more, that sometimes when students were reading music, they would skip an entire line without even realizing that they did it. Or they might skip a few notes in the line. Or, you know, when they were playing, they might land on the wrong fret or something like that. You know, they wouldn't stick the landing. And so I started talking to the eye doctor about this, and I asked her if there were any exercises that were specifically geared towards musicians to help them improve things like I was talking about. And she said there weren't specific exercises for music or geared towards music, although vision therapy has helped musicians and athletes and stuff like that. So I figured, why don't I take the principles of what I've been learning in my vision therapy and try to apply it to my guitar, not only for my own benefit, but for the benefit of my students and maybe you as well. So there's an exercise in vision therapy called Circle or Find the E's. I can't remember which one it's called, but you know, you read through something and you circle all the E's, and then you go back and see which ones you've missed. So in tribute to Find the E's, this is called Find the F's. So basically we're going to go through our fretboard and find the F's that are below the 12th fret, but we're going to use our eyes to track along with it. So we're just going to do 2 strings at a time for now. We're not going to do anything crazy. So your first F is on your 1st fret of your low E, your 6th string, and then the second F is on your 8th fret of your A string. So 1st fret of the low E, 8th fret of the A. So if this is already intimidating to you, I want to offer you a little bit of help. Use your fret markers, your fret dots. So hopefully you have a guitar with dots on the side of your fretboard. And so I have dots on my 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, and 12th frets. Most guitars have those. So if you're aiming towards your 8th fret, you're aiming between the 3rd and 4th dots. So use that as a visual aid, right? Right now we're only going to use one finger, and what we're going to do is go back and forth between the 2 notes, the 2 F's, and watch our 1st finger as it goes back and forth. So that's very important the eye part of it, because you want to train the eyes and the fingers to work together. So let's just go through that a couple times, shall we? So some of you might be like, oh my God, that's easy. Others might be completely intimidated just by doing that. So if you're in the latter category, that's okay. Just stay there. You might spend 2 weeks just doing this, right? And the other thing I want to talk about is, a lot of times I hear students say, well, I hear you're not supposed to look when you're playing. And ideally, you know, it's great to be able to close your eyes and just wail, and hopefully you will get to that point. But let's be real, especially when you're first starting out. You're gonna, if you have the gift of sight, you're gonna use your eyes when you're playing, and that's okay. And we all do, even the most experienced players. Yes, you do eventually want to train yourself to be able to play even when you're not looking, but use your eyes too, right? They're there. They're there to help you. So after you've done those 2 strings, the next logical step is to add the next string. So on the D string, you have your 3rd fret on the D. That's the next place you can find your F, right? So then just go back and forth between the A string and the D string. So 8th fret on the A, 3rd fret on the D, 8th fret on the A, 3rd fret on the D. And again, you might spend just a little bit of time just on that, and then you do all 3 strings. So 1st fret on the low E, 8th fret on the A, 3rd fret on the D, 8th fret on the A, 1st fret on the low E, and so forth. And then, you know, logically, you would just add then the G string, which is 10th fret on the G. Play with that for a little while, going back and forth. Then, you know, do low E, A, D, G. Add your 6th fret on the B, and then the 1st fret on the high E. If you want to make it harder, increase the speed. If you want to make it easier, make it slower. Once you feel comfortable with that, you can do different notes. Doesn't really matter what note you pick, really. It's kind of arbitrary. Another step to do is to practice jumps. So for instance, you could do 1st fret on the low E, 10th fret on the G. Try not to move your head. I just did. 1st fret on your low E, 10th fret on the G, etc. So you might spend 2 months just on that. So like I said, a big part is making sure you use the eyes as well. So you're training your brain, you're training your eyes, you're training the connection between your eyes and your hands. So that's really important. So when you're ready to move on beyond single string stuff, or maybe you're already beyond that, you can try doing this with different phrases. Okay, so let's take something really simple, like just the first few notes of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. So we got, so I'm playing G, G, D, D, E, E, D. And then go G, G, D, D. Try not to move your head. Oops. You can jump between here and here. Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star is too hard or too easy for you, you know, make it harder. Is Blackberry Blossom, Billy's Bounce, any other alliteratively titled song or whatever. You know, and the other thing you can do is you can do that with chord voicing. So let's say you're trying to find triads. You can map out your triads maybe on the first 3 strings, your diatonic triads in C, right? But again, use your eyes to track. And then if this is easy, you can practice jumps. So maybe go to this voicing of C, open G, 1st fret on the B, high E, to 8th fret, 8th fret, 8th fret, 9th fret, and just go back and forth.